Yes. Hey, John. I wanted to ask about Buttermore and just what caused him to miss the game on Saturday, and will he be back this week, or how long will he be out for?
He should be back this week. He had practice, limited practice today. I think we expect a full practice tomorrow, and I think you'll see him down at Duke.
So it was an injury that kept him out.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Lindsay?
Yes, hello. So today's topic, Michael Sowers. I was curious as the summer progressed and the offseason progressed, and Michael was looking around for schools to transfer to, and he had the relationship, of course, with Pat. Was there any interest either way in Michael, and how close did he come to perhaps transferring to Syracuse, in your estimation?
I think he looked at it. What's really helping Duke is they have a one-year graduate program, so it's very appealing to people in Michael's situation where he can continue his education. They have the exact graduate degree that's going to help him in what he's going to pursue. And the fact that it's a one-year program where he could go somewhere and play and get his graduate degree in 1 year, I think is, that's a tough one to beat. I think he entertained Syracuse a little bit, but I think that was right in line from him from the get-go. So it's hard to argue with that.
Syracuse didn't have the same 1 year graduate program option.
No.
No. And from what you remember of him, if you saw him much at Princeton, how much you scouted him versus how he's being used at Duke, his talent is still the same. He's still a player, but our system's different. Like, what is he doing anything different or being used differently at Duke than he was at Princeton at all?
Yeah, well, I think Duke has so many very good players that I don't think they need to use them like Princeton did. I think at Princeton, the ball was in his stick a high percentage of the time when it was at Princeton's offensive end of the field. And I think here with Neal and Robertson, that if you look at who they've played in the midfield, I mean, our scouting report has 10, 11 midfielders on it. I think a lot of it has to do with the type of teams they've been playing, and they've been able to get a lot of players in, and they've been doing some mixing and matching. So we'll be paying attention to who they're putting in with that first and second midfield against us, and see how they're running. I don't know how they could run as many midfielders as they did, throughout the season so far. So we're going to have to pay attention to that, especially early in the game.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right?
Hey, Coach. Hope all is well. So I just talked to Coach Stanowski about the history of the Duke and Syracuse rivalry and the matchups that you've had with him. He mentioned his best memory was all the close games that have happened recently. So I wanted to ask you, what is your best memory against Coach Stanowski?
Oh, geez, it goes way back. I've watched Coach, and he's a guy that I've always looked up to. I remember when he was at Hofstra, and for so many years, and the way he coached his teams. I mean, he had some good teams and he had some not so good teams. He was pretty consistent. He was pretty level-headed, and he was always coaching. And I watched when players came off the field. So I actually took a little away from how he coached, and I've always had a lot of respect for him. As far as any particular games, they've been all a lot of tough games. I think the one that was memorable for us was the overtime game a couple of years ago when we played at Cicero North Syracuse High School, and that was so different. It was outside. It was a sellout crowd. I think they came in number one in the country that year, and we were able to beat them. So that's a memorable game for us and me.
That's all I got, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Trey. Next, go to Roshan.
Hi, Coach. I want to ask about the transition defense because I remember, the season opener against Army that was a big issue, which you had kind of highlighted. I guess what kind of work have you guys been doing in terms of the defense and specifically on transition over the past couple of weeks?
We have a few transition drills that we do. So after that game, we did them a little more often than say we have recently. Although we've had to get some in even on a short week because Duke really loves the transition game. So we've had to, in a short week of practice, we've had to get a couple of those drills just as reminders for us.
What are some of those drills, out of curiosity?
Well, one is called a transition drill. We have what's called a full field broken drill. We have a fast break drill. They're all for different transition situations. Some are a 4-on-3 drill, some are a 5-on-4, and some are a 6-on-5.
Thanks, Roshan. Next, we'll go to Nate.
Hey, John. Outside of maybe face-offs and defense, is it too simplistic to say that's what Thursday night's going to come down to, or what do you see being kind of the key to the game?
Yeah, well, I think, both offenses would love to have the ball. So the game starts with a face-off, and I'm sure that's going to be a battle there. And their wings are comparable to us as far as getting after the loose balls. And so it, for those who enjoy that piece of the game, I think they'll be able to sit down and watch some good competition there. So obviously, if we can, Flop can get out to spots or get it himself, it's going to help. And they don't. If they lose a face-off, they don't let you get it to your offensive end easily. And a lot of times they'll shut off the attack. If our face-off guy's running down and trying to get the ball to our attack, they're just not going to let them have it easily. They're going to press out. And so we've worked on that this week also.
And then I wanted to ask about Curry. Are you guys as a staff pleased with how you're deploying him when you invert him? Have you talked about or discussed doing it more often than you have?
Well, there are reasons when and where we do it and how much we want to show it. So, sometimes we're just not doing it as much because we don't want to show the other, we don't want a lot of film out there of showing what we like to do off of it. And there's some, Coach March has some different twists to it. So you don't usually see the same thing every game. So it's there. It's there when we need it. And then a lot of times it's, you have to coach it in a way because everybody slides to the invert differently or doesn't slide to the invert. They want you to take a low angle shot. So if you have a really good goalie, then sometimes they'll let you take that flat shot. So everybody's different. And we've seen what they've done in their games so far. And we'll see, when we get into it, we'll see what they're going to do against it and have to adjust from there.
Thanks.
Cameron?
Hey, Coach. Duke seems to have been the media darling throughout the period of the offseason with all the transfers they added, the big names they got. So do you see this game as a chance to really make a statement?
Well, of course, if you could win the game, anytime you beat number one, it's a statement, right? But they were. I want to say they have something like 16, 18 graduate players on the team, or either between transfers or an extra year. So to have a pickup like Michael Sowers, I think Duke was a very good ACC team, and all of a sudden you pick up maybe one of the best, if not the best, offensive players, shows up at your doorstep. That's it's quite a bonus. So, and along with some of their other transfers, but I think makes them that much more difficult to prepare for.
And then this is a two-parter, but the two most hyped freshmen in the class of 2020 will also be squaring off in Owen Hiltz and Brendan O'Neill. Firstly, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Brendan O'Neill's start to his college career and what kind of problems he'll give your defense on Thursday.
Well, we recruited Brendan, and we have watched him for a number of years now. He's just a big, strong attackman and a very strong dodger. He'll try to get you topside or dip under. watched him score a couple of goals right-handed. So, a year or two ago, I would have said, you just got to let him go to his right. And I think you still want to take away his left and make him go to his right more then. But he's obviously worked on it and is better at it. And just being a big, strong, attackman is not always the easiest one to match up with. And he's very creative. And I think he and Sowers are getting a little thing going. So they're getting to know each other, and that just makes both of them more dangerous.
And as far as Owen Hiltz goes, what have you and the coaching staff taken away strengths and weaknesses from his first 5 or so college games?
Well, I'm going to sound like I have every time somebody asks me that question, repetitive. He's just every week has been getting more comfortable and showing us another aspect of his game. Early on, I would have said, geez, we could just use him as a finisher, an inside player. And now you're seeing him shoot the ball from 15 yards and a lot of velocity and accuracy. And you're seeing him dodge more. And then the last game, I think you're seeing a number of assists so that he is showing that he understands the offense and where others are in the offense and is starting to make those looks. So I'm just, going to be happier with his progression so far.
He has a chance at, really quickly, he has a chance at pushing for some of the freshman points records, some of the freshman goals records. As far as other freshmen that have come into this program and made an immediate impact, where does he rank early on?
Well, he ranks up there. I've been here a number of years, so I've seen a bunch of them. But he's and time will tell, right, as the season goes on. But again, I think he's just been, he's been going like this. And so I'm thinking his best is yet to come. Of course, now we're going to be getting into more of the meat of our schedule, our ACC schedule, and be going against some, obviously the top competition in the country. And we'll see how others, are going to game plan and match up. And so there's always a trick to adjusting on the fly, especially when you're getting into the ACC schedule.
Thanks, Coach.
Welcome.
Roshan, and then Andrew.
Coach, last week, Grant had kind of mentioned that Drake Porter's been doing this thing with the defense where he kind of makes 3 notes ahead of the game of like 3 things to watch out for in terms of the opponent for that week. I'm curious, I guess, how that idea came up, if he talked to you at all about that, and also if you happen to know what his 3 things are for Duke.
I don't. That's actually the first I've heard of it. So no, he hasn't talked to me about it, and I think that sounds pretty healthy if they're setting some goals for themselves. I think that's a good thing.
Andrew?
Going back to Duke and all their graduate transfers, is there kind of like a side to that's maybe more difficult? Like, sure, they get Sowers and their goalie and all these other grad transfers in right away, but is it tough to make everybody kind of mesh together, especially in like a shortened preseason? And is that something that at any point, like throughout your coaching career, you had to deal with, whether it was, a lot of freshmen coming in and needing to like get acclimated into the lineup right away, or a lot of, transfers coming in, obviously not at this pace with everything going on with COVID and all that. But was that ever something you had to deal with too?
No, we were, there were a lot of other options out there, and probably with us, the number of starters back from last year's team, we didn't really feel the need to, bring in a number of players. Although probably if Michael Sowers had said, "Yeah, I want to go to Syracuse," I don't think I would have said no. But I think it's we didn't have the holes that we needed to get filled, and then it can, I'd have to go back and look at Duke's previous roster or others that had took a lot of transfers. But I think in our case, it could upset some chemistry. So it wasn't, again, we're very happy with the players that we had coming back. Obviously, Mitch is a nice addition. I think Coach Rogers did a good job evaluating him, and he's come in and allowed us to put Kennedy back up top, and so that's been a nice addition for us. And we've had some others transfer in, but not as seniors, so that they have some time to work themselves in and get better.
With Mitch and Coach Rogers kind of evaluating him, like what were those conversations like between the two of you or between you and Mitch? When did he kind of come on your radar, and were there ever any hesitations about offering him a spot from your perspective at first?
I think at first, because I wasn't, really too aware of him and his ability, but then when I started watching some film and talking with Coach Rogers, it was, more his decision. He and I talked about it. We talked about it as a staff, and as far as what he brought to the table, and he has done so much, playing wing on the face-off and ground balls, and he's good in transition and good one-on-one. That we felt we weren't going to upset the apple cart too much, especially with Nick Mellon not coming back. So he filled a little hole that we might have had.
Thank you.
Trey?
Coach, with this Duke squad, they've played 7 or 8 games, and they haven't even played an ACC opponent yet. You guys played Virginia earlier in the season. What kind of advantage, if any, does it give you guys being able to play Virginia earlier in the season to have that ACC experience?
Yeah, well, I hope it does. I think that Duke's had a few more games for some game experience, and they've been tested a couple times. But I'm sure they'll, for their first ACC game, they'll be sky high, and I'm hoping that a little, the competition that we've had with, Virginia and then Army, I'm hoping that prepares us for a big game. But this is a talented group. They're playing at home. They're playing on grass. We haven't seen the grass yet, so that's a little different animal playing on those soccer fields. So we'll see, but I think it's hopefully just a great game for lacrosse.
Thanks, Coach.
Lindsay?
Yeah, thanks for the second opportunity. Michael Sowers has his availability tomorrow, so we can ask him this. But regarding his relationship with Coach March at Princeton, so much has been made about the great job Coach has done at Syracuse. When you look at what Coach did at the Princeton era with Sowers, having a talent there like that, and what he's done at Syracuse, do you see a lot of similarities, even though the personnel is different? Is Coach March doing a lot at Syracuse as what he was known for doing at Princeton?
Well, we haven't really talked too much about what he did at Princeton. You mean as far as success, or as far as the type
Scheme, schematically, success, with the offense, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that his bread and butter offense was similar to what was at Princeton. Although I think we now we share a little bit more at Syracuse, as opposed to one player having the ball. I'm not familiar with all of Princeton's players at the time, but a lot of times you have pieces to the puzzle, and you got to figure out where they need to end up. Do they need to end up on the left side, the right side? Who are your outside shooters? Who are your crease guys in tight? So I'm unfamiliar what exactly what they had, but I'm sure he had a great scheme for it, and that's one of the reasons that he's here at Syracuse.
Thanks.
Got time for one more if anybody's got it. Otherwise, we'll let Coach hop off here. Good. All right. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
All right. See
Guys,
you,
I
everybody.
just want to stay on. The